Like, it's a lot of people that have synthesizers, they kind of just go through the patches. And I don't like when people do that, but I'm doing that right now.
What's up, Passionate DJs? Welcome to the Passionate DJ Podcast, episode 222. I'm your host, David Michael. Now, first of all, let me apologize for the delay. I know that the podcast feed has been a little bit quiet lately, but I promise that we haven't been quiet lately. You know, there's been a lot going on, both behind the scenes and on our YouTube channel. Before I get into all that, I want to introduce today's guest. Isicle is a DJ producer and incredible pianist based out of our own hometown of Dayton, Ohio. His full-time job is wedding gigs, but today he wanted to share his more artistic side with you passionate DJs. Now, the music that you're hearing right now was created on the fly by Isicle, who showed up with, honestly, a rather intimidating pile of synths, effects, and drum machines. Now, to my surprise, he had it all set up in a matter of 10 or 20 minutes, and spent maybe an hour or so playing beautiful jazzy keys over improvised beats to our live Twitch audience. Now, if you'd like to hear the entire performance recording without us talking over it, I've left a link to that in the description. Now, Isicle played some very impressive music, and I highly encourage you to check it out. It's especially good music for studying and memorization, focus and creativity, or even just calming down. Lovely stuff. Before we get on to our interview with the man himself, let's talk about what's been going on with Passionate DJ. Now, first of all, there was a special version of the Rain 70 Battle Mixer released about a week ago, and we were actually one of the few outlets who were able to put our hands on it before it was released. Now, you can catch my thorough review of the Rain 70 A-Track Signature Edition by clicking the link in the description. It's a beautiful piece with a lovely metallic silver finish, and its standout feature is something called fader effects. Now, this basically lets you use the channel up faders to control your effects parameters. Now, melody is a bit of a theme in today's episode, and the mixer lets you create your own melodies using its built-in oscillators. You can select like sine wave, triangle, square wave, etc. And you choose your key, whether it's major or minor, and then you can move the slider around to have some fun. By the way, that review video was made possible thanks to a demo unit sent to us by our friends at thedjhookup.com. In fact, they're one of the few places that you can actually buy the A-Track Signature Edition, so head on over there if you're interested in that or really any other DJ gear. Now, we've got some exclusive Modingo content coming your way, including a new series called 3 Things and a review of BeatSource Link, where Mo actually takes that service on the road for a DJ gig, and it reports back to tell us how it held up in the field. For those who aren't familiar, Beatport Link and BeatSource Link are streaming services for DJs. The BeatSource is geared a little bit more towards open format DJs, so Mo will let us know if it worked out for him. Now, I hope to do a similar review for Beatport Link in the coming weeks. Okay, I really want to get on to our interview with Isicle, but one more thing that I want to briefly mention. The other reason there's been such a delay in publishing podcast episodes is because we actually threw like a real-life live event. This was a secret outdoor warehouse pop-up rave that we threw featuring an Anjunabeats artist. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the break, so definitely stay tuned. You don't want to miss that. One last quick note from the editor here. I didn't realize until about 4 minutes into the interview that I accidentally enabled like a master effects on my house mixer. So you may hear like kind of a massive reverb for on our voices for the first 4 minutes or so, and then it goes away. So hopefully you'll just you won't hear it too bad because of this lovely background music we have for it to blend into. But just a quick note, I promise it goes away. All right, so that's enough housekeeping for now. Let's get on to our interview with Isicle, who you can follow on Instagram, by the way. That's ISICLE.
Man,
That was really fun. Wow.
Thanks. I'm having fun too.
Yeah, so I really honestly had very little idea what to... Oh, hold on. Let me turn on the fellas here.
Check 1 2.
You guys got mics?
I think so. Yeah, there was just some sweet-ass reverb coming through there.
Yeah, sorry about that. So Tony's like, he does this cool, like, loop machine style of music, but he's got these synths and all this stuff, and that was basically all I knew. And he's like, check out these, like, 2 Instagram clips. I'm like, yeah, that's dope. Let's do it. And then, you know, you roll up and you've got these gigantic pieces of furniture just crammed full of stuff. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And Tony said he's going to show up like an hour early and set up. I'm like, okay, yeah, DJs do that all the time. And I'm like, oh, no, he really needs an hour to set up. But I mean, you came in here and you were probably good to go in 15, 20 minutes. I mean, you really know your gear, and you can tell that you've set it up and torn it down a few times before. So I guess let's start with... I don't know if I want to start with the hardware or not. I kind of want to start with the hardware because there's so much here. So you've got a Korg, you've got a Nord. This Arturia sounds awesome. I heard you jamming on that. So what is like the heart of your system, or do you even have anything? Like as a DJ, we think of like maybe the mixer, or the controller, or the software. But here, what's how do you wrap your head around? You know, what's your heartbeat?
I have to have an electric piano. So I actually recently got the Nord, but I have a Rhodes and a Wurlitzer at home as well. So like any sound that this is making, I have the real instrument for, and that's like the heart of my sound, because it like house has it, soul has it, hip hop has it. Everyone, like all my favorite music has a Rhodes electric piano. So this is the heart as far as like the style, but really this gear is, I mean, this is probably a third of my studio. So like,
oh my goodness,
I could take another couple keyboards. I made this spot so I can fit a couple other keyboards in here.
Okay.
This is one of my big guys. Yeah, this one's really fun. It's a mono synth that it definitely emulates like some of the old Mini Moog stuff, but we can get into more of the gear. But yeah, this one is...
Yeah, guys, can we get the back shot on this if we're not already?
Right
cool,
Yeah, I've been on it.
So is this like a sequencer built into this, or what is this grid?
Yeah, so this is a sequence, I think, built into... Yeah, this is one pre-programmed on it. So it can be a sequencer, where you can tap in at 64 steps, or the preset pack. So each one of these is a preset.
Wow.
So it's an XY system. And then
good Lord.
Synthesizer, people will know what a matrix is.
Yeah.
But it's basically, instead of patching cables to one thing or another, you use a matrix. And so it's an XY matrix. So if you want to go LFO2 to pitch 1, you would just patch this in right here. And we can get into more of I can kind of do more demonstrations later. But so this thing is pretty programmable. So like you could spend like 24 hours this thing and not still even like reach the depths of it.
Yeah.
So you can make your own patches and stuff. This is a digital instrument, just an emulation. Sounds really good for what it's supposed to do, but for tinkering and stuff, I have this, and then the heart of the system is also this key step, this is the looper. So this is sequencing everything. And so I have everything run through here with MIDI. So everything's going into here, MIDI in and MIDI out. So that's when I'm able to loop everything. And I'm over here a lot because I'm changing things, changing the pitch of stuff. I have somewhat control, and I can record unquantized. So what that means is it's not perfectly on beat. So that gives me the ability to basically make it an audio looper, except it's not recording audio. It's only, it's just receiving MIDI information and then pushing it back out.
Right.
So you don't get the stacked audio noise of a looper if you were to keep, adding on to a loop. So that's really nice in that way. So if I just turn it off, there's no audio coming from it.
So now when you initially play a loop or a couple of bars in here, unquantized, do you then sometimes do you quantize it then after? Okay, because I have a machine studio, and sometimes I'll do that. Like I'll bang out a drum beat, and I'm like, that sounds cool, but tweak, and then
dial
it
it
just
out.
You can fixes it.
You can go to each point, each note, and change the pitch, change the velocity or whatever, and then you can also go 50% quantized, which is really nice if you're like kind of off. But
but you don't want to take away all that humanization. Okay.
So this is I got this maybe less than a year ago, so I'm still kind of getting used to it. I have to listen to the tempo. It has like a built-in little tempo, a little click track, which actually plays out of a little speaker here, which is kind of nice. But I got this Alesis that's running through here and then sending information to my drums here. So I can kind of have that live feel like you saw.
So these are like drum machines, but you're triggering them with this? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, these are old samplers, so they're kind of like a smaller MPC. So people actually make beats in these. Like I have a couple beats made in these.
Nice.
These are my drum packs. So like this is LoFi Volume 1 or LoFi Volume 2.
Oh, look at
that. So if I want to like change the drum packs, I have like all the vintage Lindrum 808 and 909 in this one, and then I have like LoFi Volume 1 in there right now.
Okay, so how have you done all the audio routing? And before you tell me, the reason I ask is because you bringing all this stuff over here could have very well been a nightmare for me. But it wasn't. You said, I've got this channel for drums, I got this channel for everything else. And I was like, oh, I can handle that. Cool. Yeah. And we plugged it into my house mixer and it was good. So how did you make that happen?
So I'm running mono, which I'm about to change, but I'm running...
So mono drums and then mono synths and everything else?
So I gave you 2 channels. So I gave you 1 channel for drums and then 1 channel for bass, synth, keys, and everything, because this is a sidechain pedal. So I have the drums running into this so I can control the sidechain.
Okay.
It would sound... Are we allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
This would sound like shit if it wasn't for the side channel. I mean, pretty much all electronic music has some type of side chaining, whether it's just the bass.
Now, do you use that, like, do you crank it up and to get that pumping effect, or are you just using it like as a shaping tool?
I do both. I mean, this can kind of get more like David Guetta if I go this way, and then if I come down here. So if I was playing. There you go.
So is that your compressor doing that pump? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's a sidetrack, but this is really important for me because it basically like adds the vibe. Like if you take it off, it's just kind of like a bunch of tracks stacked with each other, and like there's certain tricks that producers, especially like EDM producers, use, and this is sidechaining is one of the big ones.
So for non-producers, can you kind of break down sidechaining?
So sidechaining is just it's taking a signal and then taking another signal and ducking that signal whenever you get the first signal. So with drums, every time you hear a kick, everything that you attach to that sidechain compressor comes back. And this is picking, how fast it comes back, how fast it ducks, and you'll if you know the sound, you'll hear it all the time.
So it would be all muddy if it didn't.
Yeah, and it would all be the same, and then but a lot of like engineers for the last 30, 40 years use sidechaining to like just make the mix cleaner. So if you have a bass, like it'll just cut through and it'll make sure that they're not stacked on top of each other. But like EDM artists use it stylistically to add this like super vibey sound, and like if I played my whole set back without it, it would just kind of sound like it just wouldn't sound.
That's where a lot of that kind of when you feel a lot of that bounce in a track, but you're not really sure where it's coming from. Sometimes it's that that pumping of that compressor. Like I'm an old school FL Studio user, Fruity Loops. And back in the day, it didn't support any kind of sidechain functionality in the mixer, and so I used to simulate it by there was a peak controller, and so you could like trigger it by when this whatever channel the kick drum is on gets so loud, then squash the sound, and it would like automatically basically it was like going over here and moving the mixer thing down every time the kick drum hit. Yeah. But it gave the same kind of effect, you know, so it kind of worked out. But they finally added that, thank God.
It's funny, all the stuff we used to do to, like, try to make something sound like something. With the program we used. In GarageBand, I had to automate every single duck. I would just go in and, like, turn down the volume and turn it up, and So
this is all hardware. That's one thing that's of note, that there's no laptop in sight, and any computers in the room belong to us. So
yeah.
I mean, so is there anything that, like, what's your, I guess, master clock? What's sending your main?
The key step would be the master
guy.
Clock. Yeah. So I have the stop and start and the
And that's
master
also
tempo.
where the metronome sound's coming out as well in the room here.
Yeah, and that tells me. And also, I note this is different than an audio looper, because like I think the best example of an audio looper is like a 505. Mark Reblier used one. I think Reggie Watts uses a line 6 one, but an audio looper you can't change the speed because you have your set audio recording. But yeah, I have this going through, and then this kind of controls everything. I can actually control each synth with this keyboard too. So like if I wanted to use a bunch of modular gear that didn't have any notes, I got all my stuff here. So I could record a song with this, which is kind of cool.
Very nice.
And then all the audio is running. We were talking about the mixing. All the audio is running through this other SB404, which I had, and I was going to sell it, but I was like, you can use another one because I can use it for more audio effects. So like I have all of this stuff coming through, so I can use this pitch thing.
And more gear is cooler than less gear.
Yes. This is essentially like the DJ portion, like your filters and all that stuff. So like I can using the isolator to like take out the lows and take out the highs is kind of gives me that lo-fi feel. And then also like a lot of house stuff is just like taking out the lows and bringing it back in. So like it helps to be able to just have control of that. And then this is just a really cool pedal that's just a bit crusher pedal, but it also has a high cut filter on it.
Oh, okay.
And so
nice.
that's on my master, as well as the sample rate, which I actually leave a little bit on all the time, just because it's almost like a exciter, like it adds to the highs and just makes everything a little more full and crunchy. And then I have everything running through this little compressor. It's a Fmr compressor.
A really nice compressor.
Yeah, which is perfect for this because it just kind of smashes everything a little bit, and that way when I go to a music venue or whatever, and they get the raw MP3 or WAV files from me, it's not just like because usually I'll play shows like that, and if it's not compressed, like they'll just turn me down so that the peak is just the kick or whatever happens to be. So this was really important, and I'm mixing everything with this little cheap Behringer mixer.
So I mean, you almost have to become like something of an audio engineer when you're going to bring this much live shit out to somebody else's venue, where you're then going to plug into their sound and they're going to do whatever to it.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't want to try. I mean, most people don't even know what this is, besides everything else. Like
Silent Glove says the RNC is a baller piece of kit, the single best compressor for the money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of that before. That's cool that he would know.
Yes,
I think it's like under $200 or something. I'll probably get like a rack mount with stuff, and maybe I'll get like a better one. But yeah, it's definitely really nice for just not bringing stuff out. It's really easy. Like I have more gear and stuff. It's really easy to just keep stacking gear, and like I have a bunch of pedals and stuff that I bring and I can add. But this is as stripped down as I can get, I think.
Folks, we'll get right back to our interview with Isicle here in just a moment, but I'm just breaking in here for a couple of quick reminders. The first of which is to remind you to follow us on Instagram at Passionate DJ. We post all kinds of clips and pictures and behind the scenes stuff over there, so make sure you don't miss it. Also, don't forget we have merch. And if you want to rock some Passionate DJ gear, you can get your own over at passionatedj.com/merch. You can rock our logo, or you can choose one of our exclusive DJ designs. And finally, I want to talk about the thing that I mentioned in the intro, and that's the fact that we've started doing live, actual in-person events. Now, this is something that we've talked about for a long time, but we never really gotten around to, except for our 1-year anniversary party, and that was way back in 2014. So we decided that since things are starting to open up a little bit, that we would step up to the plate. So we threw our first event and we're bringing all that content to you, the listener. So again, please make sure you follow us on the Passionate DJ YouTube channel and enable that little notification bell so that you actually get informed when we post new stuff. Now, our first event was at a secret warehouse location, but we threw it outdoors. Our headliner was Intel, E-N-T-E-L. Now, that's a DJ producer who focuses on melodic progressive sounds, and he's been published on labels like Anjuna Beats and Grum's Deep State Recordings. His tracks have received support from DJs like Dash Berlin and Gabriel in Dresden, and so we just felt that he was the perfect artist to launch our new concept with. We recorded a ton of content that night, so there's definitely lots of good music to come your way, as well as some stories and overall just good videos to come. Now be sure you're also subscribed to the podcast here because we're hoping to catch up with Intel in episode 223 and do some behind-the-scenes talk for our little random warehouse rave. And by the way, we intentionally did not advertise this event. It was very much a word-of-mouth kind of thing, and we actually ended up seeing about 200 people. Very successful event in our opinion, and we can't wait to share more of that with you. So if you'd like to be a little bit more in the loop the next time, the best place to do that would be in our Facebook community group. You can get to that at passionatedj.com/community. All right, back to our exclusive interview with Isicle. Keys, man.
My mom and dad made me play keys when I was a kid. I didn't really pick it up until like 5-6 years ago. I had like a live funk band, and we a lot of my older records are like very like funky and live, and
because that leads into one of my questions, like what are your musical influences? Because I know I hear, but I want to hear like where you're coming from.
Well, yeah, my parents listen to a lot of like prog stuff, like funk. Like some of my favorite records that they love are like Earth, Wind & Fire, Frank Zappa, a lot of soul stuff, just really groovy stuff. Like I've realized, especially as a DJ, like I've learned that like soul makes its way into everything, and like just like that, like rhythm and stuff, and like I just like stuff that has like good rhythm, like someone took time to like make it groove, and like that's my favorite music. But there's a lot of influences. I've listened to pretty much everything.
David, your dad actually said that your dad introduced Frank Zappa.
Oh, really? Oh, Michael's watching. Michael.
Yeah, he jumped in.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah. He can play really good trumpet with his mouth. I know that. He was always in the kitchen. I always remember that because I didn't see that until later. Yeah.
That's
when you're talking about the funk aspect of it.
Not like the master.
No, when you're talking about the funk aspect of it, David's father was also saying he gets like a Chick Corea vibe from some of that stuff you were just doing. Because that's as I was listening and kind of working the lights back here, I'm like, I hear a lot of funk. That's all I hear right now is funk. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely picked up that. I was like, okay, this guy played jazz keys, not like necessarily classically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because you can usually tell like the people who grew up playing classical have a different style, whereas you have this.
The cadence is different.
I'm gonna just go.
Yeah.
And you feel, and it's so natural to you, and that's I just love.
Wow.
I envy that.
Well, thank you.
As a keyboardist who is very rusty.
Oh yeah, I will. During the pandemic, I started just doing scales. So like, I still don't actually know all the scales yet. Like, I'm still trying to learn theory back, like learn it again. But I've been listening to Chick Corea like nonstop since he passed away.
Nice.
So that's actually, that's insane that you would say that I sound like him, but definitely don't. But I try to break rules. Like he does a lot of interesting, like there's a lot of the stuff he does with keys are like breaking rules on purpose, and he made it super funky. So he's definitely a big influence. But I have a long way to go for that. He started this actually, like having a Rhodes and then like a synthesizer on top where you're playing them both. Like a lot of his records are like, you can hear that he's playing both of them.
Yeah.
Just like shredding the keys in the 70s, like just playing like synthesizers and stuff. So
what was your intro into I guess electronic performance? Like, were you ever a DJ or did you come?
Yeah.
Oh, you were. Okay.
Yeah, I made, like I said, I made music when I was like 14. I started getting into garage band. To me, it was like I'd always been like an artist and creator. Like I would sit downstairs and build Legos for hours. When I got a hold of garage band, I was like, this is the ability to build something without like with endless like supply. Like you can just do whatever you want. You don't have to have more materials or whatever. Like you can just keep building. So I started making like hip hop, because back then you had like pop music, hip hop, and electronic music, but no one ever like collaborated really. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's totally changed since back then. Like, so like being a producer wasn't cool at all. Like no one even knew what it was. Like, so for me as a kid, I was just excited about the idea to build. I didn't really want to be like a music artist or anything, but I just started writing a little bit more. And so I released like a couple albums out of high school, and they were kind of EDM-ish with like spoken word, hip hop, just all the influences. And then lately, people started asking me to DJ their weddings and stuff. So I had to learn DJing from that, which, if you know production and then you know music, it's not that hard to like beat match and you know mix and key and like all this fun stuff. So like then I got into like more electronic music, and
finally someone else who started as a producer and then went to DJing. It's never I feel like I'm the only person that when we have guests, and it's usually the other way around. Like they DJ and they're like, I want to make this.
That's awesome.
And it goes the other way. So that's cool. I can relate to that.
So I DJ weddings now. Like,
you still do
as a full time. Yeah, that's like my full time job, and then I do woodworking as well. So this is kind of like my fun thing, and I'm trying to move this to like commercial, to where like if people ask me to DJ, like if I DJ a gig like downtown Dayton, people usually expect some like lo-fi hip hop soul, and so I'm gonna try to like transition to be like, here, I can bring this. And like actually like, you know, just I mean it just like turns my wheels a little bit more to be able to do this than like DJ, which DJ is definitely like a skill and stuff, but I do it for weddings and it gets a little boring when then you have the ability to do this.
Speak.
It's different.
Yeah.
Do you get bored? You get bored of DJing too?
Hey, it's the same 70 tracks, man.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the fun thing about doing this. It's like we get to come here, and there's no crowd to turn off. You know what I mean? It's like we build our own audience, and they come to us rather than whoever comes in the door. You know, and so this is fully on the creative outlet side. So that what you're doing here is perfect.
Cool.
For the show. But when you are DJing, just curious, what's your like what platform do you use?
I use Serato, and then I have a Roland DJ 808.
So do you get down on it, make beats and stuff at weddings?
I don't like
having this was the first one I'd ever seen in person.
Yeah.
What is it?
I still haven't
the
seen
DJ
one.
808.
Yeah, the 808. Because when I ran into you, it had just come out. You were the first person I ever saw with one.
I mean, it looks really cool.
I was like, man, that's a lot of green.
Do you ever mess with it at all, like at home or anything? Or with the beat?
I definitely made tracks with it, because it has, so that for the people that don't know, the DJ 808 has 909, 707, 808, and it has like the ability to track, like it's basically one of Roland's like drum machines like attached to a DJ, which is interesting. You can actually use it to be like the master. Like instead of using this, you could use that. And then you could like play tracks, and like it's meant to kind of like fit into this.
But
then I had to bring my laptop out, and it's like, So like, I'm actually really interested. Now we're on DJ stuff. Like I want to get something without a laptop. Like that's my next thing, just to get. But like when you DJ weddings, you kind of have to have everything in the laptop. But like, I want to get a specific controller that I can just put 200 tracks into, and then.
now, I mean, I don't know how into the idea you are, but even standalone players and stuff are starting to accept streaming services.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
Mo has spent a little bit of time doing at mobile
Yeah.
gigs.
Yeah.
How's it worked out?
Yeah, we'll talk afterwards.
Okay, cool. So people don't want to hear about it. Yeah,
We've touched on that a handful of
Okay.
times recently.
Gotcha. Cool. But yeah, I'm in like all of the worlds of the gear and all that stuff. So it's kind of funny how some of it mixes, and once you learn one thing, you can kind of like start to get the idea of the next thing.
What do you listen to outside of like the kind of stuff that you make, like maybe outside of electronic music, even like if you get in your car, what comes on your playlist?
I'll give a couple artists that I like listen to as soon as they release something. Tom Misch is like a soul artist.
Okay.
He's from London. There's a lot of really cool like funk soul, neo soul stuff coming out of London right now. Electronic artists, Abstract is like a house producer. He has like really, really heavy sidechain, just like kind of dub house. He's kind of a dub artist.
Okay.
Man, I'll listen to Chick Corea. I've been listening to a lot. I listen to some hip hop. I'm generally listening to music, like stuff that has a lot of melody. I love hip hop. I make hip hop, but yeah, I don't listen to that too much. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like as a DJ, like I don't think of music very quickly. I had to look at my phone, I guess. Yeah.
And then I guess really the only other thing I'm curious about is there this is kind of a common theme that we ask a lot of DJ producer types. Is there like a particular feel or mood that you like to evoke? Like what is it that does it for you? Like when you connect with an audience member or one of us here in the room, or even if you're just playing in your room, like what is it you go for feeling wise, if that makes sense?
I enjoy like a dancing crowd, but I can't really do that with this. And to some extent that's like depends on the person. But I think anyone, what I really love to evoke is just like a chill reaction, but just like nodding their head or like tapping their foot.
Just
and
to knowing that they're kind of paying attention and like keeping the beat with you. And
yeah, but like I love people to have conversations. When I'm playing shows where I'm not, because I do sometimes performance where I'm actually singing my songs or rapping them and stuff. But when I'm not doing that, I really love people to talk, hang out at weddings, at dinner time. Like I'm not trying to like keep people's attention. So I kind of use that same vibe. Like when I'm at home, I listen to a lot of lo-fi hip hop because I don't want to like be fully focused on it. I want to do something else. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Like good music, but not too crazy. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Are you down to share some more music with us and with the live stream?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We would love to hear it, man.
Cool.
This is a lot of fun. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Well, before you
thanks
start
for having
jamming
me.
again, where can people find
Yes, thank you.
Where can people find your work?
Yeah. So I don't really have any instrumental albums out right now, but I have a brand new album that came out in January. It's called Bedroom, and it's all under Isicle. So it's an Isicle. And yeah, you'll hear like, we didn't even get to that, but I also produce music on the computer. Like I still do that.
Okay.
And so like that's a polished record. Like it has all the stuff done and all the layers and stuff. So I don't do this when I record my music, but that's on Spotify everywhere and stuff.
Side question.
Yeah.
Did you move from GarageBand to Logic then?
Yeah.
Called it.
Yeah. It's easy.
Everyone eventually makes that progression.
You say if you keep talking about GarageBand and you've got all this shit now, you've definitely moved on to Logic.
No, I need some buses and I need Logic. So
great.
And I just I got the new M1 Mac, so it's like
nice.
Yeah,
we'll have to talk about that after the stream.
Sure.
Cool. Well, hey, this is your creative space for as long as you want it tonight, man. Just do what you want, and when you're done, we'll turn the stream off, and that'll be that.
Awesome.
So, thanks so much for being here. Thank you all for being here in the chat and on the Twitch stream, and those of you who are listening to the podcast version, thank you so much. This has been Isicle. Keep on spinning.
Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Passionate DJ Podcast, episode 222. Thank you for joining us. Our interview was a bit short this time, so we're going to send out the last few minutes of the podcast with some melodic Isicle goodness, along with some bonus scratches from Tony DeCero.